What is going on, everyone? Who do we got in here already? What is going on? Hope you're all doing well. Sorry, got a little head cold today. You're going to hear a little coughing. Can everyone hear me okay? We're doing good. Let me get the usual way I find out. Not that. Ba, ba, ba. My account. I'm coughing on that scene. All right, everyone could hear me. Go Browns. How are you, Brett? Browns looked pretty good last week. Too bad that's only twice they've looked good this season. What are we, 6 games into the season? Some bullshit. Excuse my language. How are you? Why does my screen seem so small today? Da, 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 da. Hope you're all doing well. I'm moving to Poland. Poland or Portland? Poland, I would move to Poland. Hey, Mary, how are you? Yeah, I got a little head thing going. It's usually this the way it goes for me. During the summer or spring, I have the typical sinuses, hay fever, whatever they call it. And I take all kinds of Claritin. That gets me through it. And then right after that's done, the weather changes a little bit. I get a cold. This is what I get for growing up in California, where the weather is always perfect. I'm just not used to it. No pollen in the air by the beach. It was horrible. Poland, good. Warsaw. There's a great song by the 80s band Joy Division called Warsaw. I always loved it. And then I found out what it was all about, and it was a little more depressing. These guys were a little obsessed with World War II back in the late 70s, early 80s. Tehachapi. How are things from Tehachapi? Probably wouldn't know how to say that if it wasn't for the fact that I grew up not too far from there. Redondo Beach. Good afternoon, sir. Me and my wife are fans. Thank you very much. Your show from Massachusetts. Okay. Choose San Antonio. We are not fans of San Antonio. Trying to find our next place to live. Perfect. You're my first contestant. Nick, are you guys retired? What do you do for a living? Anything like that? We got anyone from Rumble on here yet? Yeah, I'm starting to get the feeling if I post things on Rumble and on YouTube, it's almost like YouTube penalizes me. It's weird. Downtown studio, living in Olympia, Washington. What do you think? Senior downtown studio apartment. I'd live in Olympia. Olympia's not that bad. I mean, the weather sucks, but it's a city. It's not the best city. It's Olympia, but you don't have all the nonsense of Seattle. Just a taste of the nonsense of Seattle. Down. We're looking for good health care. Okay, we're going to stick on Nick for a minute here. Good healthcare, good schools, and safety inside. Okay, so you left Massachusetts to go to San Antonio. Texas is always a good plan these days. San Antonio, not the best. I mean, it's better than some of the other places they have there. Myself, I probably would have gone to one of the suburbs around Austin before I do San Antonio. They're really close to each other, so it's kind of a mixed bag of what you're going to get. But it depends on what you want. Let me see. Did you put in here what you guys, good schools, good everything, let's go live. Let me scroll down here. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to blow everyone off here and just work on Nick right now, because that's what we're doing today. We're focusing on what people do, where people should live. Thank you for loving my channel, Ella Bradshaw. This one I'm going to get back to in a minute. Charles in Paradise, we'll get back to you. I just want to get a little more information from. If you guys want me to do this, do me a favor. Tell me, your age range. Are you about to retire? Or are you young adults? Just that type of thing. Do you have kids? You're looking for schools? You're looking for good health care? And if you want to put in your budget for a house, like if you want to buy a house, give me an idea of what you're looking at. Okay, here we go. Nick, my wife works in the healthcare field. I am a medical courier, independent contractor. Okay, so uh, you probably want a place that's got some serious healthcare. And my honest opinion, if you want to go someplace that's really good right now, that's got great healthcare and a lot of healthcare facilities, I would look at the Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina area because you've got some of the best hospitals in the country and a lot of other like retirement, the convalescent home, not convalescent, that's not the word of vulgar, but the geriatric people, and they all have nurses and stuff like that. There's a big movement there. That is where I would go if I was in your situation, especially being a medical courier and you're an independent contractor. You will have a lot of work there, I promise you. But yeah, I would definitely look at Raleigh Durham. Charlotte, not as much. Definitely Raleigh Durham. That's probably the greatest option for you, especially considering you want schools. And when you compare it to, especially Massachusetts, you're going to go down there and see home prices and think, you're going to buy a nice house there for what you get a shack if you're living near Boston. You know what I mean? So Nick, I would definitely recommend checking out the Raleigh Durham Chapel Hill area. The research triangles there. That is my suggestion to you. Okay, there's one other one. Let me find it. Charles in Paradise. Charles in Paradise. Where are you, Charles in Paradise? There we go. Charles in Paradise. Let me read that one more time. Hello, Briggs. I'm looking for somewhere that's humid, job market friendly, while cost of living is friendly, and ideally motorcycle weather at least most of the year. Currently, San Diego's too expensive. You are right. San Diego is too expensive. So you want that motorcycle weather most of the year. Cost of living friendly, ideally motorcycle weather at least most of the year. Currently San Diego. So this I'm not sure what you do for a living, but there's a city in Nevada called Reno. Everyone knows Reno. Reno, I think, is on the verge because their downtown is dead. Okay, I've been there a few times in the last year. I've got some friends that live there, and their downtown is dead, but that city is doing a lot to revitalize itself, right? And I've read a couple articles about new companies moving in there because things are so affordable. Housing has gotten pretty cheap, and so that's affordable. It's just not humid. That's the problem. So that's the problem we run into with that one. Okay. So, and most of the year it is motorcycling weather. So there's a lot of options there, and it's beautiful, especially when you cross the border into the uh, Lake Tahoe area. So let's get that one aside because that's probably not the best choice for you. You want a little humidity. Um, I would definitely take a look at Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston's got some areas that are extremely rich and extremely wealthy, much like every place on the West Coast. You're going to look at San Diego and everything, just like them. But if you go inland a little bit or down from Charleston, like Bluffton, areas like that, you're going to run into some nice humidity, that southern thing. Wait, did you say you want? That's humid. You said humid. Most people don't ask for humid, but if you want humidity, this is where you go. Um, South Carolina, I think, is probably a great option for you, or one of the suburbs of the Atlanta area. Now, that's going off not knowing what you do for a living or anything like that. At least I don't remember you saying that. Cost of living is friendly, motorcycle. And yeah, and if you're in San Diego right now, if you look at some of the areas around Atlanta, the outskirts, I wouldn't live in Atlanta, but some of the suburbs are really nice. Look at those. Let me get a read here for you. So I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Decatur is good in the Atlanta area. Evandale Estates, North Druid Hills is great. Marietta is pretty good. The stats are outstanding. Then just Druid Hills are pretty good too. Tyrone, Georgia is really nice and affordable. And then you got North Decatur and Stone Mountain. Those are all great suburbs in the Atlanta metro area. Now, if you want to look at Bluffton, South Carolina, Bluffton has good stats in a couple places. Let me explain it to you. So their cost of living, it's a little expensive, but their crime is low. Their employment is excellent. Their housing is excellent. Health and safety, so. Commute, a little bit rough, but and their schools, in case you have children, get rated an A. So they're graded an A. That's not bad. And it's a little bit of a slower life than, let's say, Charleston. So if you're looking for a little humidity and if you're looking for a little humidity and things like that, I think that's your best bet. Sure, you got hurricane season, but most of the year, South Carolina and Georgia are pretty decent. Especially, there's an old saying in Atlanta where you've got two seasons, summer and Christmas. Because only around the Christmas time, January, maybe November, December, it's going to be cold. And they do have some rain, but not as bad as, let's say, Seattle or something like that. So I would look at those two places, especially if you want the humidity. All right. Eastern Tennessee, yeah. Someone mentioned Eastern Tennessee. You got a lot of places there outside of Memphis that, don't move to Memphis whatsoever, but they do have some nice places there. All right. Let me see if I can grab another one. All right, let's go with Daniel. I'm going to scroll back, see if I missed any other ones. Ibriggs, 60, retired, currently living in Barbados. You should not loop. I have teenagers, 45,000 a year pension, retired law enforcement, looking for good schools, originally from upstate New York. All right, Daniel. So, congratulations on making it through a law enforcement career with a good pension. Those are usually pretty good. My brother-in-law has one. He enjoys it quite quite a bit. So you want good schools. Are you towing some grandkids with you, or are you a late stage father? My cousin did that. I don't think he had his first kid till he's like 48. Him and his wife were working on their careers, and then they finally got around to it. And a little late in the game, but they're happy, and that's all that matters. Okay. How many people we got in here today? We got 136 here. Anyone watching from Rumble? Just type Rumble in the thing. I want to make sure it went through because I'm not seeing anyone from Rumble. Which I'm not sure is a good thing or bad. Matter of fact, why don't I just jump over to Rumble? Okay. "33, married, kids, working." Okay, I got that one. Ba, ba, ba. Okay, let me see if I can find if Daniel left a reply yet. Late father. Okay, so yeah, you definitely need some kids, and you want to leave Barbados. All right. Well, you're a braver man than me. And one other question is that pretty much, are you looking to work also, even though you got the pension? I want my daughter to graduate U.S. high school. I get what's going on now. Okay, so you're moving back. Hey, Miss White. Hi, Miss Witt. What are you doing? All right, so you want to go decent schools. Uh, Back in the United States. Da, 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 da. Man, I'll tell you what, being a late dad, I had my first kid when I was 27, second one when I was 29, I think, and then the third one when I was like 35, and there was a giant difference waking up in the middle of the night between the second and the third one. Who the third one is in basic training for the Air Force right now. Okay, so give me 1 second. What's up, Josie Jones? South Carolina is not bad for a single retiree. South Carolina is great for a lot of different reasons. And one of them is for people that don't want to do Florida, they come back. They call them halfbacks. They went halfback to where they're from, usually the East Coast, someplace like, Massachusetts. Okay, give me 1 second. Yeah, somewhat. The first person, Moab, Utah. Someone just suggested Moab. Moab, that's pretty good. I like Moab. Nice and quiet. Give me 1 second. I'm still working on that second one. Okay. To work again. Okay. So, I mean, you've got a lot of options. Texas has excellent high schools, especially when you get to some of the nicer suburbs of Dallas. Now, if you don't want desert and you're looking for more mountains, Idaho is a great option. Still very affordable. They love law enforcement there, retired or otherwise. Again, great high schools, great way of life. Cost of living is definitely lower than California or Oregon or Washington or the anywhere on the East Coast, just about on the north side. So I would look at Texas, especially around the Dallas Fort Worth area. It's my opinion on that one. They've got some great schools. That matter of fact, let me see if I can find exactly which one I'm talking about. Dallas, Texas. Okay, so Fort Worth is probably your best option. A little more expensive than Dallas, but Fort Worth is a great option. Also, look at Richardson, Texas, if you decide to pull the trigger on this one, and Plano, Grapevine, and there's one other one. Oh God, it's gonna bug me once I see it. I like Arlington too, but what is the one I'm thinking about? Right next to Plano. Frisco, Texas is another great option. So I would look at those. Now, if you decide you want to go to Idaho and you want a little bit of a quieter life, uh, let's say you want to move to the Boise area, right? So Boise is a great option, but Meridian, in my opinion, is a little bit better. You've got the Garden City, Idaho, which is decent, and Eagle. Eagle, I recommend everyone. It doesn't have the best stats as those other ones. I mean, let me explain what it's got here. It's got A plus for schools, housing A plus, employment A plus, crime A plus, health and safety A plus. The only downside is the cost of living's up there, but it's not crazy. It's 6% above the national average on goods and services, and housing is about 80% higher. Eagle is something a lot of people should really consider. Eagle. I think Eagle is a great option for. Let me get one thing. Average home value. I want that. I want the average home value. Here we go. So Eagle's a little rough when it comes to housing. The average home value right there is about 700,000 right now, and it's getting up there. Now, that's the average. They've got plenty of places there where you can get them a lot cheaper. Let me see here. Yeah, if you could swing that, that's kind of a little higher than I was expecting it to be. But if you look at their Zillow, they've got a lot of condos and things like that. Three-bedroom condo, $170,000. You got plenty of good homes, decent neighborhoods there that are in the 489 to 550 area. This is just going off Zillow, what I'm looking at, and these look like decent homes. Um, it's just they've got a lot of new construction, and a lot of their new construction is on the higher end. So that jumped up their price. But if you look at their thing and on Zillow, you put their maximum home value, let's say 550, you got some good options that look like they're move-in ready. Got one 479 that looks really nice. One for 335 looks like it needs a little work, but that's dead center Eagle, Idaho. So yeah, I think Eagle, Idaho is a great option, or just about any place in the Boise area. Look at some of the suburbs in the Fort Worth area. That would be my suggestion to you. All of those areas have schools that are outstanding. All right, let me find the next one. I know a bunch of you. Pittsburgh, let me see this one. I'm going to go back a minute. So Tom Pellegrino, my wife and I are from Atlanta. My wife's from Atlanta. I'm from Pittsburgh. She wants to move, and I can't handle the hills and the cold. I was thinking South Carolina. I'm in my late 50s, no kids. South Carolina is a great option. You might be able to convince her into the Bluffton area. If she's from Atlanta, she's used to the South. So, there's a lot of places in northern, like Pensacola. Great option. Great option. Flat as a pancake. I almost said a really, really bad joke about that, but I'll leave flat as a pancake is what I'm about to say. But it's pretty bad when I say something and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I didn't say that that joke in my head, and it stops me. But Pensacola, I think, is a place that's underappreciated. Let me get the exact stats for Pensacola. So Pensacola only has downtown, not the suburbs, only has about 52,000 people, which is nothing. Their cost of living is decent. It's actually 1% below the national average. You got to love that because it's a decent city. Normally, you find anything below is going to be someplace you don't want to live. Jackson, Mississippi, 12% below the national average. When you get anything that's even with the national average or just a tear below, that's like finding a unicorn. Housing is decent, 5% above the national average for both homes and buying homes, I should say. Schools are, you don't have any kids, so that's not a worry to you. They get a C plus, but cost of living's low, commute's decent, amenities, there's plenty of things to do, and their crime is not bad. It's actually 45% below the national average. That's both property crimes 42% and violent crime 64% below the national average. Everyone, pack up, we're moving to Pensacola. Let's see what their houses look like. Pensacola. I know we're stuck on Pensacola. I haven't looked at the chat. You might be going, I'm never moving to Pensacola, but we're going on with it. So Pensacola is decent. Oh, yeah. You've got plenty of homes that look older, like this one here looks refurbished. I don't want to hit any buttons and share the screen, but it's $337,000. Decent. Big houses that look really nice. I'm talking 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, look decent. $545,000. Duplexes, $275,000. Wow, this one looks nice. Trees in the front yard, a little round thing, $360,000. Pool in the backyard, $339,000. It's a smaller house, but it's got a decent looking pool. Yeah, Pensacola's a great option. especially if you don't want to move to Florida and you want it flat, or if you don't want to move to the hills and you want it flat. Now let's go back and see if you said, I want nothing to do with Florida. Yeah, okay, good. Tom, I hope that one worked out for you because I think that's a great find. I think that's a great option, especially if your wife's from the South. Because here's the thing, Southern people, not just the women, it like gets in their blood. And a lot of them don't like to be away from it. It's almost like my wife. She hates being away from the beach and bugs her to this day. And that she lives here in Portland, Oregon. But it is what it is. Let me look here. Let me see if I am appearing on. We'll get back into the next one. I kind of like this. This is gives us purpose instead of just chatting tonight or today. Did this kind of early. And if I missed any super chats, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at the right screen that tells me if there was any. Normally I have Denzel on here that'll let me know. Think about giving Denzel my phone number so he can just text me if I miss a one, because I always got my phone right here. And the chat moves so fast. You guys can only see half the chat because there's a lot of trolls in here right now. So yeah, Briggs, what's up, brother? What is? All right, let's see if we can find another one. Oh, okay, so yeah, that Charles did actually want the humidity for his skin, which makes sense. Some people, man, especially people with eczema. I don't know if it's better or worse, but I've heard people with eczema do not like living in the desert. All right, let me see if I can find one. I'd like to have a small farm. You and me both. I'd like to have a small farm, retired, like cheap, very little crime. I have a granddaughter in tow, no humidity, no tornadoes, no floods. Well, that gets rid of the Midwest for you. So, no humidity. Wow. So, if you look at some of the areas in Arizona that are up in the hills, like Prescott and a few other places, you might find what you're looking for. It's a little different farming. I don't know what kind of real farming you want to do, but uh, I'd tell you to move to the middle of California where there's some of the greatest farming in the world. It's just the water rates are so high and the land is so expensive. You almost have to be a giant corporation to buy any kind of farming land past your backyard, the typical backyard. So I would look at some of the hill areas of Arizona, Prescott area, see what you can find there. Prescott's nice. It's got very little crime. It's got decent schools. Let me make sure. Prescott. Yeah, so Prescott's pretty decent. Cost of living's D minus. Crime is a B, which isn't horrible. Housing B minus. Health and safety is A plus, and schools are A minus. So that's not bad. And then if you go down and look at their homes, that's where it might get a little spicy. Let's see. So if you just get a home and not a farm, you can find decent ones as low as $300,000. It's not terrible. A lot of them are about $300,000. That's just the homes. Let me see if we add acreage on there. Let's just say at least 1 acre. Lot size, minimum, just 1 acre. Just get an idea. This will kind of separate the men from the boys here. Just to get an acre, it's usually out in the hills. You're looking at least $500,000 with a house. They got plenty of lots here that look desertish, but it is in the mountains, so you get a little moisture. It's a little greener. Yeah, Arizona's not the greatest for farming, but if you don't want tornadoes, that's kind of what you're going to have to deal with. No floods really either. Yeah, and no humidity. That's your best bet. Once you get humidity, you get great farming. Now, you also got Oregon. Now, Oregon is not all, um, Portland. Portland's its own planet compared to the rest of Oregon. Salem, Eugene, they got the typical city problems, the Bend area. But if you can get someplace in the Willamette Valley, like the Wilsonvilles, you're going to find some land out there. Let me see if I can find something out there. And you've got some nice places in Oregon. A lot of people discredit it. Now, they do get some rain. We don't get tornadoes and we might get some flooding, but we're so used to the water that our flooding is very, very rare. You got places like Missouri where there's flooding all the time. We have it, but we're just used to it. So we're better built for rain. When it comes to snow, like in Portland, we fall apart. But if it rains for 30 days, we're perfectly fine. Um, So you've got a lot of really nice towns where you can get at least an acre. Cottage Grove, which is outside of Eugene. Um, we've got a place called Deadwood, but there's a 2 acres for sale there for 200,000 with a decent house on it. No, not it's overgrown, but looks like it was decent at one point. There's a lot of options in Oregon if you just follow the 5 freeway on down. You could find some great options there that if you want to farm, it's where you farm. That's why I bring up Oregon, because there's a saying here, and it basically shit grows in Oregon, and it does. You don't even have to try. All right, so I hope that helped for you, Teresa. If I get your name wrong, I'm sorry. I'm used to a big screen. This one's kind of small. All right, let me scroll down, see if I miss anything. Let me find another one. Olga. Teresa, the snow and if you get up in the mountains, it's a different story. But when you're talking Eugene, Salem, and Portland down that 5 freeway corridor, I live outside of Portland and I'm in a hill area. We're guaranteed a couple dustings every year. And then, maybe one snowstorm that kind of puts, maybe a few inches on the ground. Do we get 28 inches like Buffalo, New York? Absolutely not. In the 17 years that I've lived here, we've had maybe, I want to say five 5 years where we had a snowstorm that lasted for a week, basically, and everything kind of got shut down. But that's it. 5 in 17 years is not that bad. And that's only like 1 week a year if it happens. So definitely not that bad. There's so much worse. Okay, let me see this one. Just me and my wife, no kids, looking for an area with mountains, cooler climate, but with lighter snow if possible. Decent job market and safe. Any suggestions? Well, first of all, I got a couple options here for you. The first one, I would say the Bend, Oregon area, the outskirts. Bend itself is pretty expensive, but you got Mount Bachelor right there. You've got a bunch of other stuff. Great for outdoors. Crime is decent. Downtown Bend now has a good size homeless population, but they're working on that. So, and it's got a decent job market, relatively safe. That's the first one I'd look at. After that, you got to start looking at Idaho again. Idaho's got some great options. They got mountains everywhere, and most of their cities are built at the base of mountains. The Rockies go through Idaho. Most people don't realize that. Why is my doctor calling me? Okay. Not urgent. Okay. My doctor's kind of special. I get these messages from his office. Hey, Briggs, call us. Okay. But that wasn't one of them. Just reminding me a prescription's been sent. That's exciting. have eczema. Dry air definitely makes it worse. Yep. Uh, so the other one, Idaho, like I said, Eagle again, if you could afford that, Meridian. They've got mountains all around them. What is the other one I was thinking about that is decent for? Is it Idaho Falls? Idaho. Oh, give me 1 second. So Idaho Falls is another great option for that. Decent decent stats. Cost of living A plus, so it's relatively affordable. They've got a B plus or a B minus for crime. Housing A plus, it's affordable. Let's see here. Yeah, Idaho Falls. The median home price is about $179,000, which is only 10,000 higher than the entire state of Idaho, which is still about 6,000 below the national average. So that is not bad. Um, yeah, that's definitely not bad. Go back to this one. But employment decent, health and safety decent. The only bummer here is their schools get a C plus. I mean, it's definitely better than F, but I like to see my schools C plus to A plus. That's a good school. When they start getting into the C's and the C minuses and the D's, you want to take a look at some private schools around there. But yeah, you weren't looking for um, schools anyway. So yeah, that might be a great option. Powell, Wyoming. There you go, Teresa. That's a good option. Mary, my husband and I are seriously considering retiring in a year or so in Pennsylvania, specifically Holly Honesdale area. Smart choice. Do you still recommend the area for retirees hoping to homestead? Absolutely, 100%. I will always recommend Honesdale for retirees if you don't mind some snow. It gets some serious snow during the winter. Now I'm talking November through January. You're going to be socked in at least once. That's almost guaranteed. Um, Things are getting warmer, so maybe it's not as bad in the future, but that's how it is. Real estate is great. If you're in the Honesdale area, Holly, you have like Honesdale. Honesdale is a small town. I don't even know how many people are living there. Um, and I love Honesdale. Like I've said many times before, if I didn't, if my family let us, I would move out to our property that I'm doing nothing with. Let me see here. Population 4,485, but they have this huge hospital, Wayne Memorial. Um, Now, I have a lot of ideas about why they have such a great hospital here. Obviously, it takes care of the whole county, but they got a lot of retirees in that area, especially government retirees in the Honesdale area. And I think that's how they got such a sweet hospital there. Now, they got just about everything you're going to need. And if you need to get anything bigger, Scranton is right down the road, an hour or so, hour and a half. And God, what has it been so long? About an hour and a half or so. It's right down the road if you need to go for something major. But the Wayne Memorial is a great hospital. This is a great place to buy some land, do some homesteading, whatever you want to do. Great place to farm. Summers are great. Spring is great. Fall is decent. Winters can get brutal, but not, upstate New York, Minnesota brutal. But they can get bad. Keep that in mind. Plus, you might be forced to become a Pittsburgh Steelers fan or Philadelphia Eagles. They will force it on you. I got some pretty snide looks when I told people I was a Cleveland Browns fan when I lived there. I think I might have to change allegiance if I ever do actually live there. So, Mary, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, that's another one. They do. Washington does get some flooding, so you just got to choose appropriately. Don't get too close to the rivers; you'll be fine. But as far as the farming for the woman earlier, Teresa, that's a great option. especially when you get to central Washington. It's a little drier. It's a lot drier than the Seattle metro area, and it's great for farming. Affordable. Look at Othello, Washington. That's a nice place. My wife's aunt lives there with her family. Othello's nice. They got a couple other places. Richland, maybe. Matter of fact, I'm doing a video this week for a places that are so cheap to retire. It seems illegal, but Richland, Washington is in that. That's right on the river, though. But choose where you move, and just if there's a giant body of water and you're worried about the flooding, don't move there. Also, if you ever want to buy a house near a river or anything like that, don't. You can't get flood insurance for river homes, and if you do get it, you're paying through the frickin' nose. Ooh, Hobbit home. Try Oregon. They'll let you do just about anything here as long as you tell them in advance and act like it's an art project, and they'll let you do whatever you want. The one thing they don't let you do, snow's not that bad, Teresa, in central Washington. One thing they don't let you do is chop down trees that are more than like a sapling. Oh my God, it's like an act of Congress to get a tree removed from your property. Violet, thank you for supporting the channel. Video game jumps up and down. Thank you very much. And for the super sticker. Really appreciate it. All right, let's see. How about this one? Pam Rokshan. I hope I got that right. Looking for a mid-sized college town with a medical school. Figure good medical care available. Yeah, that's a good idea. What's cheaper than Northern Virginia? I live college for athletes, culture, and experience. So almost every major university is going to have a pretty good college system. Or pretty good medical system is what I'm saying. They always got a good medical school, most major ones. That being said, you got to go back to the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area. Am I missing anything? Cultural experience, medical school. Yeah, so you just be moving down the road a bit, but the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill place is great because they got major universities with major medical schools, major medical research facilities there. That is probably your best bet. And that area is just college crazy. I mean, it is. They got some great universities out there. I can't think. I want to make sure I say the right ones. Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill universities. North Carolina State University, Triangle Campscott. Okay, let me see here. Here we go. Campbell University Law School. Not looking for that. State University, Shaw, St. South Carolina. Where's the Wake? What is the other one that's over in Chapel Hill? Is that? I can't even think right now. It's going to bug me until I look it up. And I'm sure someone's already put it in the chat, but I'll find it out myself. Yeah, I don't feel like searching the map. Over in Chapel Hill, which one is that, guys? Let me know in the chat. I know it's a big university. So, Sally, remember the one I just talked about? Great place to retire. That's very, very inexpensive. Huntington's there, and it's very affordable, and it's got decent stats, which is strange. Duke, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you very much. So yeah, Raleigh is what you're looking for. If you're looking for good medical school, good colleges, and good healthcare, Raleigh's probably the best place to go. Now, I'm not just talking Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. That whole area, great. They all vary in prices. But Huntington is pretty good place right now. Their their stats have gone up in the last handful of years because, as we all know, West Virginia has been taking a hit because of the coal. Less demand for coal. A lot of the coal mines have shut down. Um, people are always, oh, well, there's coal jobs. Yeah, well, there's not as many coal miners anymore either. So I forget the exact numbers, but let's say they in the 80s they had like 15,000 coal mining jobs in the state of West Virginia, and now they have 7,000. So it's about half of what it used to be. I forget the exact numbers. Don't hold me to it. Um, but so that took a hit to their economy, and it's kind of kept them down. Of course, the opioid crisis. I think they've turned a lot of corners in most of the state. They just got to bring in some. They got to get better educated people. It's their biggest problem because no company wants to move someplace where you can't get a guy that can't do the basic stuff. And that's one of the most important things about education. If you're not getting a good education for an area, which West Virginia really didn't focus on that for a long time, a lot of southern states didn't either. It hurts you in the long run because besides not having educated people, you don't have a lot of higher end jobs. When we were just doing manufacturing, the country could get away without an education. Now that everything's tech, you better know something about tech or you better have an education. Maine is great. UNC, Duke. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Where is the other one? Where are the Tar Heels at? It's bugging me now. That's not Winston-Salem. That's Charlotte. I'm getting all screwed up here. Now it's all stuck in my brain. I'm sure someone's going to tell me in the thing here in a second. North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That's it then. So it would be NC. Yeah, it is that area. Okay, never mind. I figured it out in my head. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about some other one. Oh, I think I might be thinking South Carolina for another thing. All right, moving on. Yeah, it's in Okay, so it is in Chapel Hill. I knew it. And Clemson. Clemson is. That's what I'm thinking about. I think Clemson is where nobody can afford Seattle anymore. I'd love to move to Vermont. I don't mind cold weather. I love beautiful trees and land, and most everywhere in Vermont is like void of all crime. I mean, sure, Montpelier's got some homeless and some weird crap going on there right now, but compared to other cities in the United States, there's nothing going on there. Eastern Washington's nice. Clemson, South Carolina. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's what it was. I got in an argument not too long ago. One of my friends from the military, he was from Maine actually, but he went and saw a Auburn game when we were in the Army many years ago. And became a diehard Auburn fan. Sadly, he had a lot of medical problems. He took his own life about a year ago. But he was a big Auburn fan. So I mentioned, God, I'm getting all teared up thinking about him. So I was at this pub in Portland and said something about my friend being an Auburn fan. He's, oh, Auburn, they're in North Carolina. Well, no, it's in Alabama. This guy freaked out. Well, pull up Google, look it up. And he's, I don't need Google. I don't need Google. Oh, fine, I'll get it out. And it got to the point where he's all, you're an idiot. You don't even know what you're talking about. Auburn's in Alabama. The guy just turned around and walked away from me. I have never. People don't let me play poker with them. Thank you. This is a good guy. Good guy. Wonderful. Matt Cecere. Where should you live? Depends on what you want. Did you put down what would you like? Because I was rambling on about colleges and got out of the groove we had going on here. Why is everyone texting me today? What do you want from me? I'm not that exciting of a person. I don't need all this attention. Um, Karma, give me details again in case I missed it. Hey, we've got a New York sports. Thank you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Affordable town in Sacramento area. The houses are between $750,000 and $850,000. Let's take a look. I can help you with that easily. So if you get outside of the area, oh, I don't want places with still stuck on need an acre at least. There we go. Sacramento, California. Okay, so in the immediate area of Sacramento, you don't have a lot of places that are outstanding, but obviously you probably know Davis is decent. Let me see what their stats are real quick. Cost of living is expensive there. Employment's good. Housing's good. Safe. Schools are outstanding. Commute is outstanding. Amenities, plenty of things to do. Everything looks good there, but yeah, you know what? I'd honestly look at Davis. I'm looking at plenty of nice homes here, smaller homes for $450,000. Decent ones, bigger ones, 700, 650, that area. They got a few beautiful ones for 800,000. I'd look at Davis. That's a little bit of a drive, not much of one from Sacramento. And if you've ever seen Sacramento traffic, you'll probably be perfectly happy with that. Wow, so where's the other one I was thinking about? Give me a second. Roseville. How are we looking at Roseville? Roseville, again, cost of living is expensive, but it's California. You already know that. I'm not surprising you with anything. Their overall cost of living is only 48% above the national average, but everything else they have is a B plus or better. Commute, A plus. Cost of living, F, because it's above the national average. Crime, B plus. Employment, A plus. Housing, A plus. Health and safety, B plus. Schools, B plus. Overall rating, A. So Roseville is solid. It's on the outskirts of Sacramento. If you want to get in town on Sacramento, it gets a little dicey on your crime and the prices jump up, especially if you're in the nicer areas of Sacramento. I mean, 750 is bare minimum starting. And that's a smaller home. No frills. But I would say you're looking at a minimum 850 to get something decent. I hope that answers your question. Roseville's good, expensive, but has decent downtown. Lots of shopping, outdoors, jobs, and tech. Yeah, I do know that. Schools are great. Yeah, it's a little expensive, but it's worth it. Walnut Creek is expensive. Walnut Creek is expensive. Um, I had a lieutenant in the army that was from Walnut Creek, and he went to West Point. He had his choice between Yale or West Point. He chose West Point. I don't hate any place. I love Savannah. I did not hear about that. Groveland, California. Let me look that up real quick. Someone asked me about some small city in Texas or small town in Texas, and I'm all, I don't know the stats for that place. They're all, you don't know the stats? Well, yeah, I don't know the stats off the top of my head. They're all, I thought you did this for a living. I'm all, I do. There's like 2,000 towns in the United States. It's like there's 200 cities or good sized cities. Groveland, that's not the best stats. Let me take a look at what we got here. Amenities, F. They don't have much to do there. Commute, F. Sucks. Cost of living, F. It's 40 more expensive than the rest of the United States, which is the same for California, which they're even with California. Employment, A plus, not bad. The median household income here is about $67,000. Income per capita, higher. It's about 200% higher than national. That's pretty good. Health and safety, meaning their hospitals, their pharmacies, their doctors. Not saying they are, but access is usually a problem. They get an F there too, meaning they probably don't have enough doctors and hospitals. Housing, median home value is about $387,000, which, if you know anything about California, that's not bad, but they don't have a lot of stats to really draw people in. But yeah, so it's affordable. They just got some hurdles. Definitely not the worst place in the United States, but yeah, I don't think I was on this whole time with. There I am. Okay. My content. No, I'm on there, but looks like I got almost no one watching me. Last time I did Rumble. Sorry. Damn it. Oh, I got 23 people watching me from Rumble, which last time I had like 400 watching me from that. So that's weird. Here we go. Here's a good one. I may have missed some. I'll scroll up and see if I can see some other ones. Where should I live if I'm looking for someplace with cooler weather? I hate hot summers. Looking for home prices between 120,000 and 180,000. North Dakota. North Dakota is probably your best option. Depending on how far you want to live from people, that's a different story. Where's the mute button? Hold on one second. All right, there we go. Perfect. God, I got to change my lighting in here. I didn't realize how white I look in here. I look ghostly. I can never get out of the house. If you want, you're always going to have hot summers someplace. I mean, do you want blazing hot and horrible humidity? Move to the south. Do you just want blazing hot? Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Nevada. But if you want some cool weather and extremely cool weather that's affordable, North Dakota. North Dakota, Their best places to live: Fargo's decent. Their livability score is 84. Grand Forks, 79. Bismarck, which gets really cold, is 78. West Fargo, Dickinson, home of Bruce Dickinson, famed for the Blue Oyster Cult and more cowbell. Just kidding. Uh, if you're in the Air Force, Minot, whatever they call it. Yeah. North Dakota, you'll be able to find some property there without a problem. Yeah, North Dakota, especially like let's say you get around. God, they got so many small towns. Fargo. Fargo looks like if you get in town, the average home value is somewhere in the neighborhood of about not average. It looks like you can get decent homes here for 200,000. Anything below that, you're going to need some serious work. Now that's pretty much the expensive side of it. Now Grand Forks. It looks like someone's selling their backyard here for some reason. Just the backyard, nothing else. So there's a lot of condos and stuff going up in Grand Forks. It looks like they're going for about 125,000. Wow, they're a little more expensive than I was expecting. Let's go to Bismarck. Bismarck. Am I not? I don't know how to pronounce that. 145. So you want to live to Minot, Minot. I've heard it before many times. Big Air Force base there. I forget if I'm pronouncing it right or not, but you could buy homes there easily for 150,000 to 200 that look decent. The only downside is their winters, even though you want some cold weather, that might be a little much. I don't mind winters like that. That's just a little too flat for me. But yeah, you could definitely find there. If you want cold winters and you want affordable real estate, North Dakota is where you should go, especially in the Minot area and Bismarck. Where is Bismarck on here? Bismarck, tons of homes. 180 to 250 is what you're looking at for a decent home. Hope that helps. Might be a little more than your budget, but so it's a trick question. What other state is like California weather that is good but cheaper? So California is so long; they've got different weather patterns. Southern and southeastern California is a different animal. That's basically Arizona. If you get near the coast, there's no place in this country is going to beat San Diego for weather. Los Angeles, I think, runs as second place to them. But there's no place like them, honestly. Anywhere you go up to Northern California, you got fog, you got cold weather all the time. It's just gloomy a lot, much like Oregon, which there in Oregon, you just get way too much rain along with Seattle. If you go further east of San Diego, where San Diego is where the good weather is, but it would be a desert if it wasn't for that ocean breeze and people. So there is no other place like California. Now, maybe if you start going in the hills of Arizona, the Prescott area and stuff like that, where you might get a little snow, but I think overall their weather stays similar to Southern California, where they supposedly have the best weather in the world. Then winter comes and it gets a little cold. But you have places also in California around San Diego and Los Angeles, the mountains and the hills, where winter comes and gets pretty brutal. Not, not North Dakota brutal, but they can get some cold weather there. Definitely got to have fire insurance for anywhere in California. But I hope that answered your question. What time is it? Where are we at? Any other good questions? I know I missed something. Let me scroll back and see some. Hey, there's someone. I don't see one, but I don't see one comment. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Oh, well, I got 39 over at there. Are you going to cheapest gas state? Cheapest gas state? I did a gas one a few years back when the gas prices jumped. This question from Rumble. When the gas prices jumped pretty high some years back, I decided to do a gas one. Well, I took it down because a month later, all the numbers were way off. And I like my videos to be watchable 6 months from now, a year from now at least. Sure, some of them were about prices in 2024, but gas prices, they change. I take a shower and they've changed 20 cents, So it's hard to do one like that. Just changes too quick. The video becomes irrelevant by the time I post it almost. That is definitely cheap. Here's one. What do you recommend for a single parent household with school aged children? Depends on what you want more than that. Kind of weather you want. What do you do for a living? But I'll tell you what. Uh, if we look at places that have, I just did a video about Kansas City and I was talking about Kansas City, but some of the suburbs in Kansas City are amazing. Around Kansas City, I should say, especially like Overland Park. If you're a single parent, I read something about a year ago about how great it is for single parents in Overland Park, Kansas. On top of that, Overland Park is one of the best suburbs in the United States, has been for years. So it's affordable, it's safe, it's decent, outstanding schools. If anyone tells me they want affordability and they want great schools, I always recommend Overland Park. Fort Myers, or not Fort Myers. Yeah, Fort Myers, Indiana. Why do I feel like that's wrong? I feel like I'm saying something wrong. Fort Myers is in Florida. What am I thinking about? Oh my God. It drives me crazy until I look it up. I rant and rave about this city all the time. Fort Wayne. Jeez. Fort Wayne. Why does I call it Myers? Got stuck that in my head. So Fort Wayne has been changing a lot over the last decade or so. So, give you an example. Their schools right now are a C plus. 4 years ago, they were a D minus. So that's good. And Fort Myers also amenities, tons of things to do. Commute, A plus. Cost of living, A plus. Crime, B. Employment, C. Housing, A plus. Health and safety, A plus. Schools, they're decent. The average age here also is 34 years old, where I think the rest of the United States is about 41, I believe, or 38. 38. %79 of the locals think that Fort Wayne is also family friendly. If you guys haven't hit the like button, please do so. You know that matters to the algorithm. And it helps me out. How many we got? We only got 119. All right, let me see some other here. Fort Wayne. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Fort Wayne, finally. Tucson. What's my take on Indianapolis? So Indianapolis has, just like every place else, it's got some rough spots that should probably be avoided at all costs. But overall, it's in Indiana. Uh, Indiana's a decent place. Family values, good work ethic. They tend to have decent schools. They do have some rough neighborhoods that you should probably avoid. Gary, parts of Indianapolis, maybe parts of now I can think again. South Bend. Woo! Can't even think today. I'm sitting here. I've got Notre Dame in my head, and I can't remember the city they're in, and I know that one. About 15 years ago, South Bend was horrible. It's still got some rough patches, but it's a lot better than it used to be. Let's give you an idea. South Bend, Indiana. When I started doing these 8 years ago, their livability score, I remember because I was a little shocked, it was 58. Right now, it's 68, which is great. Their cost of living's low. Crime, D. It used to be F. Employment, D. Used to be F. Housing, A plus. And health and safety is pretty good. Schools, not so much. They get an F. So they used to be worse all the way around. Oregon's good in a lot of ways. A black woman who wants to live up north, will I be okay or targeted? So, not being a black gentleman, I've never walked in your shoes. I go by stats, and statistically, Minnesota, sadly, not everyone's going to say this, but George Floyd happened there. But Minneapolis has a great African American community, black community, whatever you want to call it. Um, that sounded wrong. Them, that, God, now I sound like I'm, never mind. But you know what I mean. They have great black communities in Minneapolis. So that's up north enough for you. Great. Also, you got neighborhoods in Chicago on the north side that are just wonderful, especially for black Americans. And if you want to get in North Dakota, that gets a little sketchy. I wouldn't go to North Dakota if I was African American myself. Fort Wayne's solid. We were just talking about them. That's a little bit north, Midwest. Then of course there's New York. New York, once you get, if they're very, I think they get a bad rap because of the way they communicate with people. They're kind of loud and they're in your face and stuff like that. That people think they're rude. You're not going to run into a whole bunch of racism there compared to other places in the United States. Honestly, if I was an African American person, there's one state that I would truly, truly avoid, and well, two of them, Wyoming and Idaho. I don't think it's a good fit. I really don't. Oregon, Oregon, a lot of people, it used to be like it is still the most Caucasian state we have, I believe. I think Vermont beat us out, so we might be second. But Oregon, especially in the Portland metro area or the northern Oregon area, very, very little racism. There used to be, pretty bad, but definitely not now. Everyone here just, then we don't care who you marry as long as we can smoke what we want, have strip clubs, beer, and guns. A lot of people don't realize this. Oregon is very much gun friendly. I don't know why everyone always thinks we don't have guns in Oregon. Pretty much because everyone thinks we're all liberal like Portland, but the entire state is, in my opinion, a libertarian state. They want the government out of everything. Let us do what we want. So, yeah, that would be my advice to you. That's not true. I don't think that's accurate. I'm sure you've heard things like that. But I think I actually want to add Nevada onto that list of Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada. Utah, maybe, but everyone else pretty much leaves you alone, and they don't get all caught up in that. Woohoo, strip clubs, yeah. Uh, it's like I live in Portland. I saw some guy, doing his Instagram reel, asking everyone around the office, "What city has the most strip clubs?" Everyone said Vegas, 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 and no, it's Portland, Oregon. More strip clubs per capita in Portland, Oregon than any other city. Second place, Tampa. Iceland is amazing. Well, that's really the rural areas. You get out the rural areas, you're going to have some problems anywhere. Rural America outside the South, in my opinion, is not black friendly or anything that's not white, or they live amongst the Hispanic people because they all work in their communities. So that's been going on for decades. What's my favorite strip club? Uh, my favorite strip club closed down. I haven't been to a strip club in a while. But that's another thing. People don't understand that strip clubs in Portland, Oregon, and they're not like strip clubs everywhere else. It's almost like a pub. They just happen to have strippers. I mean, people go there after their. I've told this before. People go after with men and women from work. You go after for happy hour after work, and they go to strip clubs all the time. I was taken back by that when I first moved here, because in California, you want to go to a strip club, you go to a really bad part of town, and it's usually under the freeway or something like that. It's weird. A little more mild climate than that. Raleigh, that's pretty mild climate. Start getting in Tennessee, Arkansas, and all that. Climate gets a little weird, but they share some of the same things, especially when you get around Lincoln. Lincoln has, I think, hospitals, great hospitals there. But that's Middle America, and most people don't realize this. You get into the flatlands, the Great Plains, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas. Those winters get pretty brutal there. Their summers get terribly hot with a lot of mosquitoes. I live in Louisiana, can work in healthcare or education, single parent. What would you recommend besides Overland Park or Fort Wayne? You looking to go out west? You looking to get out of the south? You looking for a little cold climate? What are we looking for? Chicken. Oh, they all have chicken wings. I think all of them do. There's one called Acropolis here that has amazing steak. They have steak bites too. People go there so bad, people don't even want to go in the strip club half the time. They've got a to-go window on the outside of it because they make such good steak bites and steak sandwiches, stuff like that. East or West Coast. Okay, so you want to get on the coast, huh? Um, Healthcare education. So, if you're really looking for good healthcare and you can afford it, I hate to admit it, and I don't recommend it to a lot of people, but Los Angeles is a great option. That's if you really want to do healthcare and you want to be near the coast. But you don't have to go to LA. There's plenty of places that are perfectly fine, like Torrance, California, which is south of LAX. It's in a suburb of Los Angeles. That one's got Torrance Memorial, got South Bay. No, South Bay's not there anymore. Little company Mary's there. You've got the universities aren't too far from there. Harbor Medical Center's there, which is a part of the UCLA medical network. At least it used to be. Those things change occasionally. So that's a great option. There's a lot of healthcare in the Torrance. They call it the South Bay of Los Angeles. You got Torrance, Hermosa, Manhattan, Redondo. Some people like to throw Wilmington and Lomita in there also. But there's some great universities there. They do have some nice neighborhoods that aren't extremely expensive. But some of them, as the closer you get to the water, whoo, painfully expensive. Other than that, on the West Coast, you know, I wouldn't recommend Sacramento or I wouldn't recommend San Francisco to anyone right now. Um, Monterey is kind of sparsely populated. They don't have they have healthcare, but it's not like they have any big universities there for it. I think Torrance, California is a great option. That's my opinion. Santa Barbara also excellent option if you want to move out west. Um, I know a lot of people that have moved to the Vegas area that are in healthcare because they've tons of jobs there. So, and Vegas is affordable. So I'd look at those. I have done a couple videos on border towns. It's something I've been wanting to do again. Really, I use it to highlight that border towns with Mexico really aren't. Everyone seems to think they're just this wild shootout area. You know, like there's so much crime. It's like the wild, wild west, shootouts in the middle of the street. Sure, they have things like that, but their crime rates are actually relatively low. Normally, I've been told a lot of people say it's because they have such a presence with the Border Patrol, Customs, and the local police departments. Palos Verdes is nice, terribly expensive though. I grew up in the shadow of Palos Verdes. I don't know much about Rockland, California. No better time than Rockland. Rockland, California. Okay, so Rockland is out by Sacramento, Lomas area. Their livability score is 75, which isn't terrible. Their commute D, cost of living F. God, why is that? Overall, 53% above the national average is their cost of living. Crime, they get an A. Employment, they get an A plus. Housing, they get an A plus, even though it's a little more expensive than the national average. Health and safety is a B. And schools A plus. Not bad overall. Cost of living. You know, anytime you have things like crime is low with an A, employment is high, housing is high, a good thing, and schools are decent, you're going to have a higher cost of living. Even though their housing, they give it an A plus, but it's 178% above the national average, which their average home value, yeah, I guess it's not terrible, $513,000. Definitely not as bad as San Francisco, where their median is like 1,200 or 1.2 million. Sorry, 1,200. So yeah. All right. So I'll tell you what, guys. I got a couple things to do. I got a video I got to put out tomorrow. If you would, go watch one of our old videos. Our back catalog is not getting the views it used to because of YouTube's getting flooded right now. So if you want, please go back and look at some of my older videos. Share some of my videos. Share this one. Maybe it'll help someone that's looking to move someplace else. All right. I appreciate everyone that supports the channel. I appreciate you all being here. You mean the world to me. I hope we keep this going forever. Yeah, go watch some old videos. Everyone have a great day. Be nice to each other.